Hi, I'm Candy Underwood, the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent here at the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, Cumberland County Center. And today I'm going to show you how to make freezer jam. I know some of you may be a little nervous about canning, water bath canning, or pressure canning, but this is a good way to get your feet wet. So we're going to get started. What you're going to need for your freezer jam recipe is some strawberries, and this recipe calls for 1 3/4 cups of crushed strawberries. You're going to need some white granulated sugar, 4 cups. You're going to need a pouch of liquid pectin, as well as some lemon juice for your acid. So our first step we're going to do is we need to cap and core our strawberries. Now I have already washed or rinsed my strawberries under running water, and so they're clean. So I'm going to actually cut the tops off, and then I'm going to go down in the middle and I'm going to core my strawberries. Now I like to use my little container that my strawberries came in as kind of like my garbage bowl. So we're going to slice our strawberries. And this is a pretty big strawberry, so I'm going to slice it pretty thin. And we're going to layer these on our tray here. You're going to need a tray because we're going to actually crush our strawberries before we mix them into our sugar. And there's another little way that people core their strawberries is they'll actually get a straw and they'll insert it in the bottom of the strawberry and run it all the way through the strawberry, and it will pop this part off and it'll core it at the same time. So as we cut our strawberries, we're just going to make a single layer on our tray. And when you're selecting your fruit, you want to look for ripe fruit, as well as when making freezer jam, it's good to let your fruit sit out. That way it can kind of be easier when we dissolve the sugar. And also when you have your berries, you want to cut away any bad spots that you may see. And just cut that part off. All right, now that I have my strawberries sliced and in one layer on my pan, we need to crush them. So I'm going to use a potato masher. You can also just use a chopper if you'd like to. But you're just going to mash your strawberries. And I like to get mine pretty small. I don't like really big chunky pieces. This is also a great workout. I know with canning, with canning jams and jellies, it's a little bit more steps to it. With freezer jam, you don't have as many steps. We actually won't be processing this jam. So what that means is this jam has to be stored in your refrigerator up to 3 weeks or in your freezer for up to a year. Coming together. And another thing when you're making your jams and your jellies, be careful Googling recipes. You want to use research-based recipes. And normally what I do is I'll type in cooperative extension and then maybe strawberry jam, strawberry freezer jam, and then those tested recipes will come up. That way you know you have the right sugar, amount of sugar, the right amount of pectin, and the right amount of acid in your recipe, because that's very important. And lots of times people will call and want to reduce their jam or jelly recipe, and you can't do that. You have to use a recipe that calls for reduced sugar. And then they also have pectins on the market that you can purchase that are for sugar-free jams and jellies, or jellies that don't have as much sugar in them. But never just cut your sugar because you want to, because you're probably going to end up with some syrup. So this is looking pretty good now. Just a little bit more. All right, I'm going to pour this into a bowl, and then I'm going to measure it out, and I'm going to place my strawberries into a large bowl so we can add our sugar. Okay, so I'm going to add these to this bowl. That way I can measure them out. The easiest for us to measure them. We want to get all that goodie because we worked hard to get it. Okay. So let's measure our 1 3/4 cups, and we want to use this type of measuring cup. We don't want to use a measuring cup with a spout on it. So we're going to measure a cup. Try to get it as level as you can. And then we're going to add that to our large bowl. A half. And you may find that you have some left over, and that's pretty normal because our strawberries come in different sizes, so you may have more than what you need. And if you do, that's great. Just put it in the refrigerator and either have pancakes or waffles at night, or if you want to eat some ice cream, just add it to the top. No need to throw it away. All right, so we've got a little bit left over there. Now we're going to add our sugar, and our recipe calls for 4 cups of sugar. And it's very important that you measure accurately your sugar. And I normally like to pour mine in a bowl. That way I can, have my cup and I can get deep down in there. And then I have a leveler here. It's just a spatula. And you want to just level it off. So there's 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. So there's our 4 cups. Sometimes jellies and jams call for more sugar than that. And it's really important that you pay attention when measuring, because I have messed up and had to start all over again. So what you're going to do now is you're going to mix your strawberry mixture with your sugar. We're going to get this well blended. Then after we have it well blended, we are going to let it sit for 10 minutes. And this will help dissolve the sugar. So I'm going to start my timer and we'll wait for 10 minutes. All right. Now that our strawberries have sat for 10 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to mix our acid, which is going to be our lemon juice, and it's 2 tablespoons. And this lemon juice helps with the gel of our jam as well as give it a little bit of flavor. And you want to use bottled lemon juice. You don't want to use fresh lemon juice, because bottled lemon juice is standardized. The acidity level is pretty standardized, whereas your lemon, a fresh lemon, is not. So there could be some risk factors there. So it's best to use bottled lemon juice. Okay, so that's our 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to add our liquid pectin. Now there's different types of pectin. This is a liquid pectin. There's like dried pectin. There's certain pectins that you have to use for freezer jam if they call for those in the recipe. Now this recipe called for liquid pectin. Pectins are not interchangeable, so whatever it calls for, you have to use that type of pectin. So this is a liquid pectin. This recipe called for 3 ounces. This is a 3-ounce container of liquid pectin. And then we're going to just mix these 2 together until they're well blended. And then we're going to add this to our strawberry and sugar mixture. We get our little goodie in there. That's why it's good to use a rubber spatula. You can really get everything out with a rubber spatula. Okay, so we're just going to mix this together, and we're going to stir this for 3 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. So we're going to stir 3 minutes. This is going to blend our lemon and our pectin together, as well as it's going to help dissolve some of our sugar. All right, and now what we do is we're actually going to fill our jars. So I have several jars here that you can use. There are some plastic freezer containers that you could use, and I'm going to show you how to use these, as well as a glass jar. But these are nice because it actually tells you the max line here. So when we start filling these up, I know not to go higher than this line. Now you can use glass canning jars. Again, these are half pints, what the recipe calls for. And you'll notice that this jar is straight up. Now this little half pint jar, it's got a little neck on it. We don't want to use jars that have necks on them when we're freezing, because this can cause, when it freezes, it'll cause the jar to crack. So when you're going to freeze using glass jars, just be sure you use these that are straight up and down. Now with these, there is no line to tell us a 1/2 inch headspace. Now this is a nifty little tool that you can use, and I encourage you to get one of these if you really want to can. And it gives different sizes of headspace. Some recipes will call for 1 inch. So if it called for 1 inch, there's my 1 inch, and I'll put my little device here, and then my food has to stop at the bottom. So this calls for a 1/2 inch, which is right here. It's got a little hat there. So I will put my little device here so I know my jam has to touch the bottom of this little piece. So that gives us our 1/2 inch headspace. And again, we need that because when it freezes, it's going to expand, and it's got to have room to do that. I like these too because they come with the little lids and you can just pop them on. And you know, with jams and jellies, you just don't dump it and eat it at one time. You come back to it, so it's easier to cover. Where this one, you know, has the 2-piece lid, so it can get a little messy at times when you use these, taking it on and off, and they can get kind of sticky. So that's just something for you to, you know, to think about when you're canning. So I have this neat ladle. I actually found this at a store. It was in the canning section. It's wonderful. I use it for a lot of my canning, and when I have a big pot, this fits perfectly on the edge. My spoon doesn't get down in there and drop. So I encourage you to buy one of these if you are going to can. And I'm going to use it today because it will hold quite a bit. And I also have a little napkin here. If I do get some on the edge, I'm just going to wipe it off, trying to keep it a little neat. But I'm going to use my funnel here for filling my containers. You also use these for your jars. So let's just start adding our mixture in. And as it gets closer to the top, I will raise my little funnel up so I can see about where it's falling. So I'm going to look for that max line, and that looks like it's it. And I didn't get anything on my side, so I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm just going to pop this lid on. And I'm going to do these for each one of my containers. Now with this recipe, some jam recipes will tell you to go put it immediately in the refrigerator or the freezer. But with this one, it's telling you 24 hours. Some will tell you that 24 hours, they're going to sit here on the counter. So after that 24-hour period, you can either put them in the refrigerator or you can put them into the freezer, whichever one you prefer. That's going to give it that setup time for your gel. So I'm going to demonstrate doing it in a glass jar for you. Okay, that's getting pretty close, so let's see. And if you overfill it, only thing you have to do is just get a little spoon and take some of it out. So here's my little tool. I'm going to put it on the 1/2 inch mark. And I still have just a little bit to go, not very much. So I'm going to put my funnel back up here. Just a little bit. Okay. Let's go. All right, there we go. So we're just going to wipe our lid clean. And then this one has a 2-piece lid, so we'll just put it on like that. Just do fingertip tight, not real tight, because we want a little bit of expansion in there. So that's how you would do your glass jars. So you'll just keep filling up. This recipe again called for 4 half-pint jars. And you may find that you may have some left over. And I have made recipes where I didn't have enough. So if you don't have enough, just go ahead and stick that one in after it's set in your refrigerator and use that one first. Now that we have all of our containers filled with our jam, again, you'll need to let these sit for at least 24 hours on your countertop. And then once that's done, just pop it in your freezer. If you want to put 3 in the freezer and put 1 in your refrigerator, you can do that. And if you have any questions on more information on canning, feel free to give me a call. I'll be glad to help you any way that I can. And if I don't know the answer, I can find out for you. Thank you.